But the big story breaking right now, it seems Ashok Gehlot is not out of the race for Congress president yet, even though the Gandhis are upset with the rebellion by more than 90 Rajasthan MLAs loyal to him. Some of them could now, in fact, face disciplinary action. However, it seems Digvijay Singh and Mallikarjun Kharge could also be in the running for the Congress job, one it seems there aren't too many takers for. But Harsha Kumari Singh joining us at this point with the latest developments in Rajasthan, which has been going through crisis really. Harsha, what's happening?
Well, as of now, Ashok Gehlot in the evening had a very relaxed meeting with some MLAs who'd gone to meet him. They just dropped in to say hello and ask him, what was happening. So the sense that we got is that Ashok Gehlot is actually very relaxed, body language is very relaxed. But what we do know from sources, and let me tell you, there are as many sources in the Congress as there are stories, so it's quite a task to, unravel the threads. But having said that, we do know that senior leaders of Congress CM Ashok Gehlot's vintage are reaching out to him. Ambika Soni is going to be speaking to him. We've been told that perhaps even Kamal Nath or Digvijay Singh could also reach out to him. Anand Sharma. These are the names that are doing the rounds. So that means the High Command is not really put him into the deep freeze, so to speak. Also, the MLAs, their tone is much more conciliatory now. Pratap Singh Khacharyawaz had a press conference today in Jaipur where he said, Sonia Gandhi hamari maa hai, and we will do whatever Sonia Gandhi says. Shanti Dhariwal also, in his own way, said that, it's up to the party high command. We will do what they say, but they are at pains to say that the entire narrative, they are at pains to emphasize that their voices should also be heard. Also, they did launch a frontal attack on Mr. Ajay Maken, who, was one of the central party observers, and they said he was canvassing for a certain candidate. They were not happy with that. But at the same time, a disciplinary action has been recommended, and it's been recommended against 3 people who are closest to Ashok Gehlot. One is Mr. Shanti Dhariwal, at whose residence the MLAs gathered. The other person is Chief Whip Mahesh Joshi, and the third person is Mr. Dharmendra Rathore, who interestingly is not an MLA. He's a political appointee. He's the chairperson of the Rajasthan Tourism Development Corporation, but he's considered very close to Mr. Ashok Gehlot. So while Ashok Gehlot apparently has, his name has not figured in that. I mean, Mr. Gehlot has also been at pains to say that he did not know that the MLAs were doing that, and so have his MLAs emphasized that. So nothing against Mr. Gehlot. In fact, there's an olive branch being reached out to him, but at the same time, disciplinary action against those people close to him.
Right. Harsha, thanks so much for joining us with all of those details. So clearly a very fluid situation even now amid that countdown to the Congress presidential elections. But what of Rajasthan? What next over there? Well, here's a story filed by Sunil Prabhu, Harsha Kumari Singh and Arvind Gunasekar.
The unprecedented rebellion on Sunday by Gehlot loyalists in Rajasthan has upset the Congress leadership and raised questions on the candidature of Ashok Gehlot for Congress president. According to sources, the Gandhis are looking to resolve the unfortunate impasse. They are upset over Mr. Gehlot's refusal to step down as chief minister. The Congress leadership has taken a serious view of indiscipline. Earlier, Mr. Gehlot had agreed to resign as chief minister. The Gandhis are now looking for other options. Mallikarjun Kharge, Digvijay Singh, these are the names being considered. While Gehlot distances himself from the rebellion by his loyalists, the Congress leadership is not buying the argument that the rebellion was staged without the knowledge of the Rajasthan chief minister.
पार्टी नेतृत्व हमारा है. सोनिया गांधी जी को पूरा देश जैसे राहुल गांधी जी की मां है वैसे अपनी मां मानता है, क्योंकि इन्होंने इतना बड़ा सैक्रिफाइस किया कि कांग्रेस का हर कार्यकर्ता अपनी मां समझता है, और वैसा ही सम्मान देता है कि जब प्रधानमंत्री वो बन रही थी उन्होंने प्रधानमंत्री की कुर्सी के ठोकर मार दी, और मनमोहन सिंह जी जैसे अच्छे व्यक्ति को, दुनिया के सबसे बड़े आर्थिक विशेषज्ञ को भारत का प्रधानमंत्री बनाया.
Meanwhile, on Tuesday evening, Sachin Pilot reached Delhi, reportedly to meet the Congress central leadership over the Rajasthan issue. For the Grand Old Party, it's not just the Rajasthan issue anymore. The Congress presidential math has also gone awry. With just 3 days left for filing nominations for Congress president elections, The party leadership is now in serious discussion to resolve the issue.
देखें कोई बगावत नहीं हुई है ये बहुत लोग हैंडल कर रहे हैं राजस्थान को मुझे और लोगों को उसमें जुड़ने की आवश्यकता नहीं है those who are handling and Ashok Gehlot himself is directly in touch with the leadership.
आप फाइल करेंगे कांग्रेस प्रेसिडेंट के लिए आप फाइल करेंगे?
नहीं, I not at all. I retired.
आज कांग्रेस प्रेसिडेंट के यहाँ हम गए थे, टाइम लिया था और उनको ब्रीफ किया है चुनाव की तैयारी के बारे में. वोटर लिस्ट उनको हैंड ओवर किया, टोटल डेलीगेट्स कितने वो भी उनको बताया गया.
अभी तक कितने नेताओं ने नामांकन का फॉर्म लिया है आपके?
2 लोग ने लिया है, एक शशि थरूर जी ने और एक पवन बंसल साहब ने.
The Congress is now faced with a double challenge: resolve the Rajasthan crisis and find a credible face to run for Congress president.
Well, the names like Digvijay Singh and Mallikarjuna Kharge are being considered for the Congress top post. Sources say a final decision on the candidature will be taken by Wednesday evening. With Harsha Kumari Singh, Sunil Prabhu and camera person Ashwini Mehra, this is Arvind Gunasekar for NDTV.
In a hearing that was live streamed with 8 lakh viewers turning in, the Supreme Court dismissed a petition by Uddhav Thackeray's faction to stop the Election Commission from deciding on the claim of the Eknath Shinde-led group over who is the real Shiv Sena and who gets to use the party symbol. This was a historic first by the Supreme Court live streaming cases.
In a historic move, the Supreme Court of India began live streaming its proceedings of all Constitution Bench hearings in a bid to enhance transparency and accessibility in its functioning. This comes exactly 4 years after a path-breaking verdict on live streaming hearings that was delivered in 2018. 3 cases have been live streamed so far, including Sena versus Sena, economically weaker section quota case, and the case related to the validity of the All India Bar examination.
Having heard the Learned Council, we direct that there shall be no stay of the proceedings before the Election Commission. The IA seeking stay shall accordingly stand dismissed.
Very grateful. Extremely grateful.
So the Eknath Shinde camp is celebrating. It is clearly a huge setback for Uddhav Thackeray in his fight against his former aide, now turned rival, with the Supreme Court refusing to stop the Election Commission. Let's go across to my colleague Sohit now for the latest on this story. Sohit, what have the reactions been so far to what we've heard from the Supreme Court, and what happens next?
Well, celebrations on one side and the other side is now saying that they are planning and preparing for how to appear in front of Election Commission of India. So when this entire judgment came out, there were ministers, there were cabinet ministers who were with Eknath Shinde. They congratulated him, and later, in fact, the chief minister himself said that this is where democracy works. We have the numbers with us. Once again, the chief minister himself said that we have the numbers in Lok Sabha as well as in the Maharashtra Assembly. So if we talk about numbers, what we can say is that out of the total 55 MLAs of Shiv Sena, at least 40 are with Eknath Shinde. At the same time, out of the total 18 MPs, 12 are with Eknath Shinde. So if this entire matter is being heard by the Election Commission of India, these things will matter a lot, because majority of the numbers are with Eknath Shinde. So this is the one thing that Eknath Shinde is also emphasizing on. On the other hand, I also spoke to Aditya Thackeray, where he is saying that it's fine that this has happened now, but even we are prepared to go in front of the Election Commission, and the final result will come out, and whatever will be the result, it will decide how politics will happen in the future in India. So yes, preparations going on both sides, but this is a huge win for Eknath Shinde, at the same time a huge blow for the Uddhav faction.
Yes, indeed. So thanks so much with that update. The other big story tonight: India has ripped the veil off from the US sustenance package to Pakistan for the upkeep of F-16 fighter jets. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said, "You're not fooling anybody," after stating exactly where and how Pakistan has been deploying its jets. While America's military aid to Pakistan is ostensibly for counter-terrorism purposes over the last 20 years to manage the Taliban in Afghanistan, Pakistan's support to Taliban and the Haqqani network have been exposed, more so last year after the US withdrew its troops.
the strongest ever language used by India, opposing the decision of the United States to clear a $450 million package to sustain Pakistan's F-16 fighters, a move that the government of India has strongly opposed, most recently by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, who's in the US on an official visit.
When you are talking of an aircraft capability of the US, everybody knows, where they are deployed and what is the use and what. So, you're not fooling anybody by saying.
The sharp comment from S. Jaishankar is the third such remark on the issue over the last month by senior Indian officials and ministers.
We don't view our relationship with Pakistan, and on the other hand, we don't view our relationship with India as in relation to one another.
Perhaps seeking to reach out to India after the F-16 issue, the United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken has now asked Pakistan's Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari to manage the relationship with India reasonably.
In our discussions today, we talked about the importance of managing a responsible relationship with India.
Despite the US assertion that Pakistani F-16s are meant for anti-terrorism duties, New Delhi knows all too well that these fighters were used by the Pakistani Air Force in 2019 against India in the air battle a day after the Balakot strikes. An F-16 is believed to have been brought down by the fighter flown by Wing Commander Abhinandan Varthaman. Bureau Report, NDTV.
Well, today saw round 2 of a massive crackdown against the Popular Front of India, or PFI. Over 200 members were taken into preventive custody in raids by state police across several parts of the country.
This is what round 2 of the crackdown on Islamic group Popular Front of India and its political wing SDPI looked like. Of the 200 arrests or detentions across 8 states, the most 80 were in Karnataka, followed by 44 in Uttar Pradesh. Last time the crackdown was led by the NIA, the National Anti-Terror Squad. This round of arrests has been led by the state police. The focus of this round of action, like the arrests of the SDPI leaders in Karnataka, says the police, is to round up PFI members who were planning violent protests against the PFI crackdown.
So these people, they were inciting communal violence or public disorder or trying to foment trouble in the society. And even now, in the past they have done it, and even now they are planning to do such activities. That's why these people, they have been taken into custody.
In Delhi, the arrests were accompanied by enforcing prohibitory orders in Jamia Nagar in southeast Delhi. But specifics of the arrests remains unclear. In Assam, for instance, the police has not officially specified the charges as yet. Police sources say they have recovered PFI literature, which is seditious in nature, including a vision document 2047, which plans for an Islamic state when India attains 100 years of freedom. In Maharashtra, the police claim the arrests are based on information about the PFI collecting information about the Nagpur headquarters of the RSS. Home Minister and Deputy CM said the raids are evidence-based.
देखिए, जो भी चीजें यहाँ पर हो रही है, वो सारी नियम के अनुसार, कायदे के अनुसार हो रही है, जो सरकार के पास पिछले 2-3-5 सालों से लगातार इसकी तफ्तीश चल रही है, उसमें जिस प्रकार के एविडेंस आए, उन एविडेंस के आधार पर ये कार्रवाई चल रही है.
Swift action, seemingly synchronized. The police swooped down on SDPI and PFI activists for the second time in a week. While some of them have been detained based on the interrogation of last week's arrest that was made by the NIA, ED and also the state police, Some of them have been detained based on the preventive action report that's been generated. Now, this prevents some of these activists who have been detained from indulging in illegal activities. In Bengaluru, Shrija for NDTV with Sohit, Ratnadeep and Neeta in Delhi.
Prime Minister Modi is in Japan and attended the state funeral for former Premier Shinzo Abe. He called Abe a phenomenal friend of India's.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi met his Japanese counterpart, Fumio Kishida, and conveyed his deepest condolences over the sudden demise of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe.
ये दुख की घड़ी में आज हम मिल रहे हैं.
He also underlined the late Japanese leader's contributions in strengthening the bilateral partnership, as well as his vision of a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific region. Prime Minister Modi joined several global leaders to pay tributes to Japan's former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe at his state funeral in Tokyo.
Explosive new revelations in the murder or the events surrounding the murder of 19-year-old Ankita Bhandari at a resort in Uttarakhand's Rishikesh, an ex-employee now implicating the resort owner Pulkit Arya, further saying that drugs and prostitution were rampant at the resort.
Days after the death of Ankita Bhandari, a teenager whose body was found in a canal, the mystery around her death only deepens. The latest, an allegation by a former staff member at the same resort where Ankita used to work. Employees now say the resort, owned by Pulkit Arya, son of BJP leader Vinod Arya, was a den of vices.
रिजॉर्ट में लड़कियों के साथ बहुत घिनौनी हरकतें होती थी, वो लड़कियों को बहुत गंदी गंदी गालियां देता था, लड़कियां आती थी रिजॉर्ट से और रिजॉर्ट में तो मुझे एंट्री के लिए मना किया जाता था कि तुम इन लोगों की एंट्री नहीं करोगी.
Employees alleging that the resort was a front for prostitution and drug abuse, which was run and masterminded by owner Pulkit Arya. Ankita used to work as a receptionist at the resort. Though the police claim to have gathered all evidence required, the demolition and then arson at the resort now points fingers at connivance. The opposition alleges that this was done to make it appear like speedy justice, in turn protecting the accused by destroying what could have been crucial evidence.
ये भाजपा के लोग जो कह रहे हैं कि ये राजनीतिकरण कर रहे हैं, ऐसा नहीं है. अंकिता हमारी बेटी थी और हमें उस बेटी का दर्द है.
The versions from the ground do not add up. Who carried out the demolition? The district magistrate of Pauri told NDTV that they are investigating into the matter. Reports later suggested that the resort demolition happened hours before the body was even found. In the meanwhile, Chief Minister Dhami owned up to the demolition, saying, "We took swift action." What all was demolished? The boundary wall was broken, shed broken, the front facade demolished, front rooms where Ankita reportedly stayed have been demolished. The entire property was vandalized. Another question, who burned the resort? The police say locals burned the resort. Investigation is on to find out who did this. Only specific portions of the building was burnt. Who was manning the property? Was the police manning the property? Initially, the property was open to all. The revenue police of the state was in charge. The state police entered the crime scene later. Now, the police has been deployed. Could evidence have been compromised? The DGP says that they have collected all the evidence. But the SIT team went to the spot a day after the demolition to investigate. Mattresses were seen dumped in a swimming pool. The police has not recovered any CCTV footage from the resort. The resort had CCTV cameras which are now dysfunctional. Rooms have been completely vandalized. Could any further hunt for evidence have been compromised? Chief Minister Dhami, who claimed proudly to have carried out the demolition, isn't speaking much about it. He says, let the probe continue.
ये बहुत ही जघन्य अपराध हुआ है और इसकी जितनी भी निंदा की जाए कम है. पुलिस ने सभी आरोपियों को बंद कर दिया है, सभी जेल में चले गए हैं.
The big question now, was bulldozer justice an attempt to shield the accused? Has a deliberate attempt at destroying evidence at the scene of crime been made? And most importantly, in an attempt to deliver justice, Is this a miscarriage of justice for Ankita? Bureau Report, NDTV.